Why even high earners are living paycheck to paycheck? Believe it or not, I don't think people were happy with this video. It looked at 10,000 likes, 6.7 thousand dislikes. We'll look at some of the comments here in a little bit, but let's see what the video. Let's see what's going on with the video.
For many Americans, work can feel like a hamster wheel. No matter how hard they run, it never feels like enough. Americans, on average, say they would need $520,000 a year to feel rich. And the more people
to feel rich. I mean, I can see that. For rich, like when I think rich, it's like you don't have to worry about a fucking thing. You know? It's like I'm wealthy. I've become wealthy. I've been very blessed. But there's still things I have to worry about, right? If you're rich, there's not a single thing. That's private jet. That's multiple houses. That's fucking vacation homes and ranches. And that's rich yachts. You know? At least to me, that's what rich is. So I could see $520,000 feeling that way, for what it's worth. The feeling of rich, I could see that. That's definitely wealthy for sure, though. I mean, that would be an incredible income.
People earn, the more they say they need to feel comfortable. Americans making under $50,000 felt they needed $157,000 a year to feel comfortable. Those making $100,000 or more said they would need $246,000.
Well, and this is a good metaphor, right? Because it is a hamster wheel. Like I make more now than I've ever made, but even still, then once you hit a goal, you have a new goal. And we're humans, we're always ambitious. We're also competitive with ourselves. We always want to go to that next level. And of course, if you're making $50,000 and you move up to $100,000, you likely lifestyle inflate yourself there and you feel just as comfortable as you did at 50, even though you're living maybe a more lavish life, but your margins are the same because you've inflated yourself. So now you feel like this number is going to be the magical number.
When I was in middle school, a song came out called Mo Money, Mo Problems. And I think that
Listen, this is a better job that I've ever had in my life, and I'm more blessed than I've ever had in my life. The problems do change and are more unpredictable than you could ever, than you imagine. Like no matter, so life is about problems. It just feels like, and I'm not complaining about it or else you'd hear me complain about it all the time. I'm not, but yeah, I mean the problems just change. And that's just the reality of it. But there's always problems.
that's true. Your problems scale. You still are dealing with a finite number every month. Your worries, your anxiety, your budget scales to that.
Yeah,
you still are dealing with
lifestyle inflation.
About 14% of all U.S. households make $200,000 or more every year. But many of them, dubbed Henrys or high earners, not rich yet, still don't feel rich.
Yeah, and it also depends where you're going. If you're in the middle of Kansas, $250,000 a year is pretty delicious. If you're in New York City, it doesn't stretch as far. San Francisco doesn't stretch as far. Plus, you get taxed heavily there as well.
62% of people with salaries over $300,000 a year struggle with credit card debt.
Though that's not surprising, man. I'm telling you, on our show, some of the highest earners are the worst with money. They just get access to more debt, so they just go crazier.
Earning doesn't actually make you feel rich. Spending it does. If most people spent 99% of their paycheck, they'd feel quite...
I'm sure that's how it works for the average person. Not for me. For me, it's just like, what does the investment account look like? You know, that's kind of what I track.
Rich. And it's the paradox here. When we're in accumulation mode, it's very difficult to feel rich.
It can be pretty easy for someone to feel like I'm making really good money, but I don't have a lot of discretionary income.
Earning more and feeling like you're still on a hamster wheel.
The stress is worse in the event of calamity, and let's say you lose your job with six figures and beyond. It's hard to recover if you lose it, especially if you have debt to match. Yeah, if you have debt to match that lifestyle, I could see that for sure. That's definitely, I think, the most important aspect of your message.
Is what a lot of Henrys experience. And that's because they're not living within their means. They may have been living above their means when they weren't nearly making as much money. And now they're just continuing to add more and more and more.
I earn $300,000 and I live in New York City. I definitely don't feel rich. I feel very...
Yeah, but I mean, she's probably doing pretty okay, though, for sure, though, right? I mean, she's definitely on that. I mean, what's the median earner in New York City? Let's find out. Analytics are easy as this. Like, she should definitely be able to live a pretty good life there. Yeah, median earner by the U.S. Census Bureau is $76,577 in New York. So, I mean, she's okay. She's eating well.
Very lucky. I feel privileged, but I do not feel rich. I could not stop working right now. I have more money anxiety almost now than I ever did in my 20s. I am on a hamster wheel, and there's no question about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The more money I made, the more money anxiety I started to feel. Like when I was in just going into debt and didn't give a fuck, there was that extreme sense of joy and peace. Because it just like didn't fucking matter. Who gave a fuck? Now, once you become educated on something, it adds stress. And you become informed on it, it adds stress. I don't know. So, I mean, obviously I wouldn't choose it, but there is a part of me that's like, oh, that was nice back then. Wouldn't that just be nice to just be in that mindset? But of course not. I'd take this any and every day. But yeah, for sure. Ignorance is bliss. Exactly.
Henrys often don't feel rich compared to others. Many Henrys are cash rich and asset poor. So they're typically people under 40.
They're not
they
investing.
Don't have childcare hours available. They're first-time home buyers in the housing market. They're paying off student loans early, hopefully. And their income usually...
If they're federal student loans and they're like 4% or under, I would actually want them to try to get into the world of assets instead of paying off student loans early.
Hasn't hit a career peak. So they're very much in that not rich yet bucket, but they very well could be in the future.
Oh, I 100% feel like a Henry.
Marian Contreras was a professional composer, band leader, and pianist who started her virtual assistant business in 2016.
I was going to say, she was not making $300,000 a year doing that, and I have not heard of her. Virtual assistant. There we go.
That year, I started to grow slowly, and I was suddenly earning more money than I had ever earned in my life. And I think the number was something like $35,000 by the end of the year. And I went, wow, this is really great. I can grow this.
She then expanded into a digital marketing consulting agency during the pandemic.
For the calendar year of 2025, we're just on track to make.
Yeah, I mean, there is an honest part about she's an entrepreneur, business owner. It definitely feels less secure than having a job, even though it's technically not. I mean, it's the same as having a job. You can get laid off, your business can go under, whatever. But there is a feeling when you are the one in charge that you have a little less control on the, longevity, on the outcome. It feels more longevity when you're working for someone else. So I could actually vibe with the fact that she feels more financial stress now, specifically because of that. She has not brought that up. I don't know if she will, but that would be the real argument. She makes money, but her quality of life clearly did not improve 3 times. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I'm sure she could live much better in New York than she could when she was a composer and band leader. Thanks, commonly L, for the membership on YouTube.
1.4 million. We're hoping to get to 1.5 or possibly even 1.6. I'm anticipating my owner's draw to be anywhere between 300,000 and 400,000. Had a pretty successful career as a musician through most of my 20s. The thing they don't tell you about having a career as a musician in music school is that you can be playing Carnegie Hall, which I was, and I was making $15,000 a year. And
it doesn't. Exactly, that's true.
I didn't realize how much freedom money affords you. Now that I see the kind of freedom that somebody who earns what I do or even more has, that's my goal. That is absolutely what gets me out of bed in the morning.
She should consider if moving will help her rent or housing situation. It certainly will. I just wonder if she has lots of business connections in New York City, right? Because that's kind of the reason why, even though the taxes are so immense in New York, and even though it's not counting for as much as it used to, there's still lots of connections there and, going across the street for some business. But that's having a lot less effect than it was, and there's definitely been wealth flight from New York because that tax is no longer worth it as much anymore in the virtual world.
A lot of the high earners, not rich yet, they're first generation wealth. So they still take their wealth into perspective against their family members or others in their community.
Sure, but most millionaires are first generation wealth. The vast majority by far.
And they realize how well they're doing. So they don't take it for granted. But I think what makes them feel not rich is we were told once you make 6 figures, all of your problems will go away. You'll just have so much excess. And I think we know that narrative is not true anymore.
It's not true. But it's not because it's not a lot of money. People just inflate their spending dramatically or upgrade their lifestyle. And then your margins can be the same, if not worse, if you overdo it. Main takeaway, no one wants to take accountability. Absolutely, no one wants to take accountability for the lifestyle they afford themselves or allow themselves to have.
I would have thought back then that the amount of money that I have in the bank right now, I would be rich. I would have just thought, oh yeah, she's made it, and I don't feel that way. I know that I am on a hamster wheel with my business. I actually really love the hamster wheel. I love what I do, but I also realize that I can't stop.
She's not explaining what I explained though. I honestly believe that business owners, well, I mean, you can see it if you talk to any business owner, you'll feel less secure than if you were just working a job. So that within itself brings a sense of insecurity. It's not her income specifically. It's the fact that she relies on herself for her income and not an organization that she works for.
So Henrys often don't feel rich compared to others. They work very hard for their money, but they also spend a lot more than the average person.
In a lot of ways, Henrys may be victims of their zip codes.
$100,000 in LA is definitely very different than $100,000 in Iowa. Someone makes $200,000.
Yeah, but how many? But the amount of people making $100,000 in Iowa is substantially less than LA, so it's different.
$100 a year in LA. You're going to probably take home $140-ish rent for a 1-bedroom. It's going to be at least.
I don't like the acronym either. Henry's. It just reminds me of the crazy TikTok lady that talks to her AI therapist, Henry.
$3,000. Their car payment's going to be $700. Car insurance is going to be maybe $200 a month. Gas is going to be $200 a month. If you were to annualize that, that's $50,000 right there. The remainder is for all the other things. We haven't eaten yet. We haven't purchased groceries. We haven't paid for subscriptions to Amazon and Netflix.
You don't have to.
We haven't gone on vacation yet. We haven't purchased clothes yet. It can
Sometimes
whittle away your discretionary.
Yeah, a lot of these are wants. You don't need that car. It can be a more down car. You don't have to go out to eat. I don't know.
Income if you're living in an area that has a high cost of living.
When my business started to grow,
it's always excuses. Yeah, that's what I'm picking up, at least from that last part.
One of the first things that I started spending more money on right away was food, because I don't have time to cook. I had more money than time, and so I started eating Grubhub 3 meals a day most days. After that, it became rent, because I hit $1 million a year in revenue, and I said, that's it, I'm moving to Manhattan. And so
so she's lifestyle inflating herself. Okay, then I don't have the sympathy anymore. She chose to inflate that lifestyle. Come on.
So my rent doubled, and I suddenly was paying $4,000 in rent. What is very worth it to me is to live where I want to live. I was proud that I could live here. For about a year, I would walk outside my apartment and just like look around and just be like, oh my gosh, here I am. So that was lifestyle creep for me.
Lifestyle creep is the common phenomenon of spending a little more money as you earn more. It can happen to anyone at any income.
Lifestyle creep can really sneak up on you. You start earning more, and then you decide, well, I can buy more things. I need a second car. I need a bigger home.
It's true. It's stupid. It's non-disciplined, but it is our consumer culture to the core. This is a guy, a money teacher. It's not what I qualify myself as.
Home. I need to go on this European vacation. I deserve this European vacation because I work hard for my money. The problem is if you're not continuing to increase your savings at the same time, you are putting your financial future in jeopardy.
That lady knows what's up.
Shift happens everywhere in our lives, from the small purchases to the really big ones. Cars, houses, vacation, and most of these expenses are fixed.
Lifestyle creep impacts almost all tax brackets, but it can take different forms. One 2024 study found that when low and middle income households were given an additional $1,000, no strings attached, every month, their spending increased primarily on basic necessities, such as food, transportation, and rent.
Well, it makes sense because a higher percentage of their income is going to critical necessities. Right? You know, the minimum bears of the critical necessities. My father started an MFG company in the 90s. Alongside him for the last 15. We are 53 and 33. I think most U.S. really misunderstand how much of the money coming in goes right back into the business. The reward is the end goal. Well, that is true, especially in lower margin businesses for sure.
However, when higher income households were given the same $1,000, they increased spending on both necessities as well as discretionary expenses.
Which makes sense because a lesser chunk of their income percentage-wise needs to go to the bare bones of necessities.
expenses, like Marie did.
I spend more on my hair. I spend more on makeup. I get my lashes done. I get my nails done. I think it's just something that comes with the territory.
Birds of a feather tend to flock together and their spending tends to be more aligned. If you make about $85,000, your friends probably also make about $85,000. So you're doing similar activities in the same economic bracket. Once you have friends that are making $200,000-$300,000.
I do not have any friends in my income bracket. I guess a couple YouTubers, but they're not like in-person friends.
A year, your activities will change. The restaurants that you will eat at will differ and change. They're going to probably be a little bit more elevated. Your vacations are going to be more elevated. Your clothing.
Vacations? Who does that? I just live stream.
Is going to be more elevated. It's not necessarily spending irresponsibly, but they're spending aligned with their friend group and their community. That's why a lot of them oftentimes don't feel rich because they're spending along with their friends.
Emotions are tied so tightly to what we do with our money. It happens to everyone. You get a raise, you're feeling great, you deserve to go out to dinner. In fact, you deserve to book that cruise.
I don't like this entitlement, this deserve, the I'm entitled to. I don't know. Cheaper to have no friends. Why? Yeah, but that's not much of a life to live. Not Nike or Uber, I guess, yeah. Haven't been able to justify spending on a vacation yet. Yeah, it's important for some people, but it's just not entitled. People think they just deserve so much these days. It's just not how life works. And then you're making the choices to do it, but you're delaying something else in order to afford it, or you're putting on debt or contributing less to investment. At a certain ratio, it absolutely makes sense. But not out of the gate.
The reality is that money was supposed to be earmarked for a bump up in your retirement savings, or money that you were going to put toward your child's education, or maybe you don't have an emergency fund, or at least not an adequate
I like her.
one, and the money should have gone there. When we allow ourselves to let our emotions overtake what we're doing with our money, we lose sight sometimes of what our goals are and how we have planned to meet them.
A Henry will sometimes look to the mega
Stop with this Henry thing.
millionaires or the billionaires and wish that they had more. But
that's just humanity. We're ambitious, we're competitive, we want, we like, we envy. Yeah.
it's really just that upwards comparison for more that keeps them stuck. More will never be enough at a certain point, and you have to decide what you have is ultimately enough and start appreciating all that you do have.
Work on your appreciation. That's fair.
Fixating on all that you don't.
Experts say the best way for Henrys to start to feel rich and to get off the hamster wheel is by budgeting and planning for the future.
Dollarwise.com, am I right?
Let me guess. You're just using an investing app that doesn't invest in you. It is time to change that. Right now, Webull is offering up to a 3.5% match when you open an IRA with them. That is real money going into your retirement, not just points or coupons. And that's just the start. Deposit $100 and you get 30 days of Webull Premium. Anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 sitting around in your account, move it to Webull and get $200 in cash. And if you worked your way up to $5 million, that's $30,000 in your account just for moving it over. It is not just about the perks though. Webull provides the tools that serious investors want as well. TradingView integration, real-time data, zero commission trades. It actually works on all your devices. And now through September 30th, you can stack even more. Get a $100 cash bonus for a $2,000 deposit, plus a 2% cash back on all deposits, and a 30-day premium voucher, and a 4% APY booster on any uninvested cash. It doesn't get better than this, so stop overpaying for a platform that gives you nothing back and make the switch to Webull. Go to Webull.com/K/Caleb or hit the QR code or the link below. Let's get back to the show.
You can't really figure out if you're rich yet unless you know where you stand right now and where you want to go.
Which means you should take the financial assessment quiz at dollarwise.com or calebhammer.com. It's free. Find out where you stand.
You need to know your net worth. Doesn't matter how much money you have. It's not just for rich people. You have a net worth. What you own minus what you owe is your net worth. Everyone has one. Yours may be negative at this point, but you have to figure how to turn that around. Once you know your net worth, then you can start to build on what are your goals? What do I want to have in terms of my retirement?
I like her. She's smart. She's good.
Savings, in terms of savings for college if you have children, in terms of emergency savings in case anything happens, how secure will I be? Once you have significant emergency savings, enough to cover, say, 6 months of your expenses or more, you're going to start to feel rich. Surveys have shown that financial well-being is tied closely to emergency saving. And so
yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, when you know you can cover an emergency or your highest deductible for sure, yeah, that definitely provides a sense of safety, which can feel that sense of success and rich.
If you know that you're not going to have to whip out a credit card, that you're going to be able to pay for the roof that needs to be fixed or the car that breaks down, you're going to feel rich.
I think wealth is often an emotional feeling. It's a mindset to feel truly secure and not to have to worry about finances at all. Feeling rich, it can feel much more about the bottom line and the dollar amount. So one is more about the tangible number in your bank account, and the other more is a feeling. Most people aspire to reach a level of wealth where they don't have to stress or worry about their
You always stress and worry, though, unfortunately.
Finances, or even about the future generations, to know that there's a cushion there.
I stress and worry just about different things now. I mean, listen, I've grown a business. I'm very successful, but now I stress and worry about making sure that we're paying people adequately, that we're providing good benefits, good 401k matches, good health insurance, all that good stuff. The worries always come. You should do Creator Clash. I'm pretty sure that very much ended. Also, I don't know if I want to get punched.
One of the things I focus on with my clients is a budget should be a representation of your values. The issue is you can't value everything. You have to prioritize it. And when people see the hard numbers of what they're spending on a monthly or annualized basis, and they see, oh my gosh, I'm spending $5,000 a year eating out, I will ask the question, are you enjoying those meals at $5,000? Is it bringing you that much excitement?
So one thing we do in our budgeting program, gosh, I don't mean for this to be a plug, but I guess it's on the topic. But in our budgeting program, when we make people physically make a budget before we allow them to use the budgeting app, just so they change the things. And then what they're meant to do is they mark through all their things, how much benefit it's providing to their life. You know, whether it's like, oh, this adds amazing benefit to my life, or this is good, but it's not the end of the world, or I don't think this is providing much. And then it shows you what you can cut first, and then what you can consider cutting, and what you should double down on.
And that much joy. And most people will say, no, Camila, it's not. The food is okay. I'm doing it to be social. Well, we'll talk about other ways that you can be social without spending $5,000 a year eating out. You can't buy clothes consistently, travel consistently, eat out consistently. You have to pick maybe one or two things,
and you're not entitled
going to focus your discretionary spending, and then take that extra and reroute that to savings so you can start feeling rich.
Spending gives this immediate dopamine fix, and seeing wealth in an account with numbers and commas often can be far more satisfying, though we don't realize it in the moment.
Exactly. The account. It brings me so much more of that, like, than just going and getting a McFry. Oh, I love a McFry.
It's almost like the difference between an exciting, very toxic relationship versus a secure and stable long-term partner. I think the feeling of safety and the feeling that you can weather this long-term financial storm is far more satisfying, and we have to train ourselves to value that safety over the quick fix of a fancy car or a shiny new watch.
My advice for somebody who's on the hamster wheel is understanding the trade-off. I could get off the hamster wheel at any time, and I know that. And I know that my circumstances may change. For right now,
she should have a larger emergency fund since she's a business owner. In my opinion, she should have about 12 months, a full year.
The answer for me. My advice to somebody who's feeling that anxiety is understand that this is a choice. There are trade-offs. What I have learned is that I have been very burnt out and exhausted as a person who doesn't earn a lot of money. And I have been burned out and exhausted as a person who does earn a lot of money. And I would take being a person who's burned out and exhausted and has money any day of the week. I would rather do that than be burned out and tired and also worrying about my bills.
Let's see what the people were talking about, though, since there's some controversial comments. Am I supposed to feel bad for this person who owns three? Yeah, we immediately get to this. This is a part of our culture that I don't like, is we immediately just start hating on people that are better than us. you earn $300,000, even if the most expensive cities and live paycheck to paycheck, you should look at your spending out the system. That one is true. That one's 100% true. Am I supposed to feel bad for this person who earns $300,000 with a business that makes $1.5 million because she doesn't have self-control and discipline? Okay, well, actually, that part is fair as well. I mean, feel bad for anyone and everyone, regardless of who they are. It's more about the situation to feel bad about. But yeah, I agree. She has a lack of discipline. She decided to go into a more expensive apartment. I agree. Let's make an entire news story about delusional and out of touch people. I wouldn't say that. I don't think that person watched the same video of us. And listen, it's easier. It's easy engagement to be like, oh, rich people suck, and just poop on them. Like, whatever. It's fine. That's just how it goes. That's just how it goes. But I wouldn't say anyone's out of touch. I think we brought up some pretty good points in the videos. I just think that this person doesn't understand lifestyle inflation, this commenter. And what I think we're more talking about is people who make more money. They need to watch out for lifestyle inflation because you get access to more debt. You can get into a deeper hole than someone making $50,000 a year who has access to less debt. Though a percentage of your income going to bare bones necessities is obviously higher at that $50,000, you can end up in a more dangerous situation when you have access to more debt. So I don't think this person fully understands what's going on. Between being rich and poor, I'd rather be rich. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was really stupid. Earned $70,000 a grade. No. Started making more money, so I moved to Manhattan. Yeah, exactly. That was the choice of that person, which was, that's just on her, so she can't complain about that. Alarming how so many people don't realize how empty this consumer lifestyle is. I agree with that for sure. To me, being rich is able to go to the grocery store and not worry about what things cost, absolutely. But I would love to look at your budget and see what you spend outside of the grocery store as well. So, yeah. Know a lot of happy poor people. Yeah, I know a lot of happy middle class, happy poor, happy rich, and a lot of angry people on both of those as well. Depends what you decide to do with your life. Are you obsessed with consumerism? Do you really fall into that?
Let me guess. You're just using an investing app that doesn't invest in you. It is time to change that. Right now, Webull is offering up to a 3.5% match when you open an IRA with them. That is real money going into your retirement, not just points or coupons. And that's just the start. Deposit $100 and you get 30 days of Webull Premium. Anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 sitting around in your account, move it to Webull and get $200 in cash. And if you worked your way up to $5 million, that's $30,000 in your account just for moving it over. It is not just about the perks though. Webull provides the tools that serious investors want as well. TradingView integration, real-time data, zero commission trades. It actually works on all your devices. And now through September 30th, you can stack even more. Get a $100 cash bonus for a $2,000 deposit, plus a 2% cash back on all deposits, and a 30-day premium voucher, and a 4% APY booster on any uninvested cash. It doesn't get better than this, so stop overpaying for a platform that gives you nothing back and make the switch to Webull. Go to Webull.com/K/Caleb or hit the QR code or the link below. Let's get back to the show.